DEA
agreed with you.
That's
we
right.
all agreed with you on this one.
The
dude.
DEA, they grant an administrative hearing, you guys. That's right. Because delays cannabis rescheduling until after the election, you guys. That's right. Ain't nothing happening on Schedule 3. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration has scheduled a hearing on December 2nd for proposed rulemaking regarding the potential rescheduling of marijuana to a Schedule 3 from a Schedule 1, thus ensuring that the process will not be completed before the presidential election in November, you guys. I'm trying to tell you guys all this. The hearing date could put the entire rescheduling process in peril should Vice President Kamala Harris lose to former President Donald Trump. It should say win, but nonetheless in November. He could halt the process when he takes office in January, given that Trump has not committed to finishing rescheduling or stocked out much of a platform at all on cannabis reform. For that reason, the exact time frame of when rescheduling will be completed has been a hot-button topic ever since President Joe Biden announced the initial move in 2022. Although Biden asked his administration to move expeditiously at the time, it took until April of this year for the Department of Justice to formally endorse the Schedule 3 proposal, you guys. The DEA stated in a notice published on its website that the hearing is set for December 2nd at 9 a.m. Eastern Time at 700 Army-Navy Drive in Arlington, Virginia. Anyone wishing to participate or testify during the hearing must sign up in advance, you guys. That's right. In a quote, DEA received numerous requests for a hearing. The agency said in the notice, the purpose of the hearing is to receive actual evidence and expert opinion regarding whether marijuana should be transferred to Schedule 3 of the list of controlled substances. T.D. Cohen, Washington Research Group, wrote in a note to members on Tuesday morning that the DEA hearing news, in quotes, likely leaves the final rescheduling decision to whomever wins in November. We believe both candidates are likely to let rescheduling advance, though we have more confidence in Kamala Harris than in Donald Trump. I mean, I don't know about all that, but okay. Our view
like the rest of the country.
Our view is that the decision means President Biden will be unable to reschedule cannabis before the inauguration, Cohen wrote. And in quotes, by law, DEA must analyze all the testimony given at the hearing before it can act on the rescheduling. Failure to do so would leave rescheduling susceptible to legal challenge, and reviewing comments could take 3 months or longer. It could even push this process into late spring or summer, you guys. Still, cannabis industry stakeholders remained optimistic about rescheduling moving forward, and in a quote, a hearing was always a possibility, and we are prepared for it, said Dutchy Vice President Brian Barish, who also co-chairs the Coalition for Cannabis Scheduling Reform. Members of our coalition have petitioned to participate in any hearing. Now that the Drug Enforcement Administration has granted one, we expect to have a seat at the table, he says. In an additional quote, the Biden administration's review of cannabis has been expedited at every stage, and we remain optimistic that the proposed rule will be finalized this year, Barash added. Longtime cannabis industry attorney Brian Vicente said in a statement that law and science are on our side, and if we get a fair hearing, we win. We've waited 50-plus years for our day in court and can wait a few more months, Vicente said. This procedural hearing will allow advocates to showcase the data and fact that strongly supports moving cannabis to Schedule 3. I don't think there's any facts that support that, but okay. David Craig, Chief Marketing Officer at Nevada-based Illicit Gardens, gave voice to those who were hoping that rescheduling to the voice of rescheduling and the first major federal marijuana reform since cannabis was banned more than half a century ago, you guys, would be completed before the November election. And Craig said in a statement that while the DEA's hearing is understandable, that's right, it's also disappointing that the reform will be delayed further. Every day that passes without rescheduling is another day that businesses, patients, and advocates face unnecessary challenges. While I respect the process, the wait for much-needed change continues to be a burden on those who rely on it, Craig said. Whoa. That's all of it? That's all of it right there? All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well. I could have told you guys this was going to happen. Ain't nobody going to get rescheduling, and hopefully Trump just comes in and goes over the top on the Democrats and pushes for descheduling, as Matt Gaetz just retweeted yesterday, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
It sounds like Donald picked up the phone and said, "Don't do this until after the election."
Right.
This way, it'll look like a win for me.
Oh yeah, because
you really think that's what happens?
Yeah, get out of here, Todd. Yeah, get out of here. You're crazy.
You know what? I want you guys to keep your singular focus on how much you fucking hate Trump, because everything else is going over your heads, and I love it. I'm fine with it. If you want to just sit there and hate this man so much that you make terrible decisions for this country, go right a fucking head, because at the end of the day, like,
somebody sounds triggered.
It doesn't matter. No, it
sounds triggered. Nobody said anything about hatred right here.
It goes both ways.
Todd's just bringing up
talking about him killing the immigration bill for the election.
Todd has major hatred.
Everything bad is Donald Trump's fault. Everything bad is Trump's fault. But I'm going to do it. I do it both ways. When Jason gets off on Kamala about being a woman, about blah blah blah, I'm like, no, focus on the facts.
Nobody said that.
Plenty of reasons to hate folks.
Your undying love for him is equally as disturbing as my undying hate for him. So,
I don't agree with everything that the man does, but I also don't think that everything bad that happens in the world, if it rains today, I don't think Donald Trump called God was like, yo,
I don't think so either. I was merely making a joke in reference to his border.
And you know I love you, Todd, but I don't think he could pull this one off.
I don't have any hatred. I don't have any way of showing love. That is it. I don't have any hatred at all.
I can't disagree.
In my heart for anybody, let alone Donald Trump. I just think it's hilarious. The way that both sides are straight up liars and they can't be depended upon, and we keep on seeing the can get kicked down the road. Like, oh, I don't want to do this because it'll interfere with this. Nah, man. Like, people's lives are at stake.
100%. 100%.
Lives are at stake. People's livelihoods are at stake. And Todd's comment was valid, because that's exactly what he did on the border deal. And Jason brought it up. Well, nobody said Trump. Nobody said Trump until Jason brought it up at the end of the story. So dangling that bait out there. So it is what it is. So you can't jump on Todd for that. Jason did that.
It's not just Todd. It's everybody that's on both sides, and it's so ridiculous. Like, I don't know why we're still talking about cannabis as a top issue, because it's clearly fucking not for the powers that be and the people who are going to control this election.
100%.
Well, I think,
and I do love Todd. I just hate his politics.
I think the people who control this election, are actually our viewers and the people who go to the polls. I think that what we see already, and to Jenny's point, is that neither this administration or the previous administration, and neither of the proposed administrations to be, have prioritized doing much on this. And this article, and by the way,
Trump's done a lot on this, actually.
Well, let me finish my riff, ramble, and rant. So shout out to John Schroyer on this, because I love to criticize his articles when it's applicable, but he's been pumping out some great content recently. And I also really appreciated his quotes and who he got quotes from. Brian Barash over there at Dutchy. I think he's head of their governmental affairs. Great guy. Awesome if you ever get to meet him. Super smart, super bright. So I really appreciate the article. But what the article pointed out was that the Biden administration slow-rolled this process, and that the Justice Department, even after the Biden administration proposed it in 2022, the Justice Department didn't get sort of out of the gate until much, 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 much later. So if the Democrats really felt that this was a priority, they would have moved the ball much further down the field to be able to claim some measure of victory going into the election, and they didn't do that. Now, the next thing, Trump, and whether Trump is going to do something around cannabis because he's the feisty maverick who's not beholden to the swamp, or whether he's or whether he is just a pontificating blowhard who likes to activate the base, including Jenny Dill, and then do less than he says he's going to do. So I think that you have to remember that history is the best predictor of the future. Trump already had 4 years and didn't do much in that 4 years. So the idea that he's had some... I'm talking about in terms of cannabis reform. I'm talking about in terms of cannabis reform.
He did do a lot. I'm going to give you a quick rundown just because you obviously have amnesia.
Put my S on my name.
Yeah, you obviously have amnesia, Yarrow.
Yeah, she's not a pickle, bro.
Well, first of all,
I have Parkinson's with rigid muscles.
Multiple fucking pickles. Get it straight.
First of all, he passed the First Step Act, was a major step in criminal justice reform overall. Secondly, you also have the Farm Bill, which legalized cannabis, and look at everybody selling selling THCA now. And third of all, he also included cannabis in USMCA, which is NAFTA 2.0. And so, therefore, Trump has done way more than any of these Democrats have even done, because all they do is provide lip service.
Kamala Harris provides lip service.
Yeah, and arrests.
Whoa. We're not going to go into the limo. Stay out of the limo. Back up. Let's talk about the story. And the bottom line is this reschedule was exactly what we fucking said it was, a shiny carrot to distract us from what else is going on. So I'd look at tax policy. I'd look at foreign policy. I'd look at things that are really, truly going to affect the safety and the security of this country in the next 4 years and vote based on those.
And I look at lip service on my shiny carrot.
I bet you do.
But the thing that I think is really, really important here is that let's just get back to the dynamic this industry has suffered from for many, many years, which is it's the redheaded stepchild so desperate for attention and validation and normalization that anytime there's a bright ray of hope, no matter how dim that bright ray is, we all grasp onto it and hold on to it like it's the next best savior for the industry, whether it's safe banking, whether it's a descheduling or a rescheduling. The truth is most policymakers who are not passionate about true cannabis reform know that they can just give us a few little crumbs that we'll get really optimistic and hopeful. The whole little ecosystem will talk about it, and then a lot of nothing burgers come from it. And so if history is the best predictor of the future, we'll be having a variation of this conversation after either president is elect. Candidate is elect.
Yarrow, let me toot my own horn for a second here. I've been saying it since Jason Beck was calling for safe banking every fucking month. Ain't shit going to happen. These people do not care.
They do not care
at all.
you.
I said that the first 7 times they said they were saying they're going to pass safe banking is right around the corner. Jason talking about, I've got somebody in there, and I know big things are coming. It's going to happen
crypto
next
bill,
month.
bro. It's going to be with the crypto bill.
Same thing with this whole rescheduling, descheduling thing. It ain't going to fucking happen. We'll be lucky if it comes through in 2025.
Well, it's a good thing everybody waited until crypto fully fucking tanked out. There was another mass dump last week, so check your crypto. I don't think that's going to be helpful either.
Well, I'll tell you what. We do want to thank the C word with a big old super chat who says Trump ruined the market by flooding it with THCA.
No boy.
That's funny. That is pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
You a big fan of the THCA hemp product, Jay?
I'm a big fan of the THCA hemp product. Yeah, it's like one of the greatest legal loopholes on the planet.
Yes.
You know
Shout out to Spray Pack.
That makes you smart.
Yeah. I'm about
using those loopholes.
What it makes us look like incompetent because we're just
Speak for yourself.
Allowing this to happen. No, there needs to be one system. We need to get away with this bifurcation.
I'm fine
of these
with
two
it.
Systems, create one, and just move on so that there is no loophole. So this becomes commerce.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine. There already is commerce. We got it. We got it. We'll work with the loopholes, but nonetheless, we're going to keep this train rolling.
No, I'm with what Saman said.
Of course you are.
Burn it down.
Yeah.
Y'all have your faith in this bullshit
we got it.
government. Ain't nothing gonna happen ever.